Life with family has always been a bit of a balancing act, right? And then the digital world comes along and just throws in a whole new layer of complexity.
It really does. It feels like online culture changes almost daily. Makes it tough to keep up.
Exactly,
Mm.
especially trying to make sure our kids are, navigating it all safely.
Well, that's exactly the crucial territory we're getting into in this deep dive today. We're focusing on something vital, empowering families like yours, with the cyber literacy they really need.
To safeguard the next generation, essentially.
Precisely. And this whole conversation, it's kind of sparked by the buzz around that Netflix series, Adolescence, and also the really insightful work of Kamran Mohsen.
Ah, the founder of Hellocyber.
That's him. Hello Cyber is all about gamifying cyber education, making it easier for families to learn how to stay safe online. It's directly relevant to what we need to unpack.
Definitely.
Okay, so maybe we start with the adolescence debate, because that really seemed to, well, kick things off.
Good idea. So this series, it was screened in some UK schools, apparently, and it definitely stirred up a lot of talk, some concern, too.
Yeah, Cameron highlights how the show really digs into what he calls the dark underbelly of online culture.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't pull punches, showing how easily young minds can stumble upon and, frankly, be influenced by some pretty toxic stuff online. And these online groups, well, unfortunately, they often become places where a lot of resentment builds up. Misogyny, too.
And alarmingly, there have been links to actual real-world violence. It's pretty troubling stuff.
It is. And that really leads to the big question around the show.
Yeah.
Should we be exposing young people to content this disturbing?
Yeah, and there are solid arguments against it. Concerns about, is it age appropriate? Could it re-traumatize some kids?
Or even just be misunderstood if it's not handled really carefully?
Absolutely. Those are all really valid points. It's not a simple black and white issue.
No, it isn't. But ignoring these online realities isn't the answer either.
Because they exist whether we talk about them or not, right?
Exactly. Our kids are increasingly likely to run into these things online anyway. You can't just shield them completely.
Which brings us right to his main argument. We have to engage proactively. It's not enough to just cross our fingers and hope for the best.
We need to actively equip them. Well, the reality is online. Simple as that. Our children are spending huge amounts of time in these digital spaces.
It's where they live a lot of their lives now.
Right, and these toxic ideas, they aren't just in some dark corner anymore. They're often woven right into the platforms kids use every day.
This idea of decoding the digital language.
Ah, yes. That's so important.
These harmful groups, like incels, use coded language, specific emojis, slang, stuff that parents or even teachers might totally miss.
So there's this whole other layer of communication flying under the radar for many adults.
Creates a real vulnerability, doesn't it? If we don't speak the language, how can we understand the risk?
Exactly. It's like trying to follow a conversation you don't understand. You miss the nuance, the real meaning, the danger.
Yeah.
And bridging that gap, well, that's a big part of what Cameron's trying to do with Hello Cyber, making that education accessible.
He also brings up the link between, heavy social media use and the youth mental health crisis. That's something we hear a lot about.
And it's an undeniable connection, unfortunately. It's not just the bad content, but the sheer time spent, the pressures.
The comparison, the cyberbullying potential, all of it.
It creates a really challenging environment. And when you layer potential exposure to harmful ideologies on top of that, well, it's a serious mix.
So bottom line seems to be prevention is key.
Absolutely. Prevention is paramount. And our strongest tools are open conversations in families, better education in schools, and just stronger cyber literacy skills all around.
Which, again, ties back to the mission of Hello Cyber, providing those skills in a way that actually sticks.
Right. It's about empowering kids to think critically online, to spot red flags, to understand consequences, not just telling them, don't do this.
It's about giving them the tools to make good choices themselves.
Exactly. Equip, don't just restrict.
Okay, so this leads pretty naturally into his call to action. He addresses different groups, right? Starting with parents, like many people listening.
Yes. For parents, his message is really clear. Start talking. Have open, ongoing chats with your kids about what they're doing online.
Don't wait for a crisis.
No. Ask about the sites they visit, who they talk to, what kind of stuff they're seeing. And again, platforms like Hello Cyber aim to help start those conversations by giving parents some grounding.
He also really pushes parents to educate themselves, doesn't he? It's not enough to just say, be safe.
Right. We as parents need to actually understand the dangers. And crucially, learn some of that coded language these groups use. Is that a big ask, maybe, but important?
Sounds like homework for us.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
But it's vital homework. Knowing the terms, the emojis, the platforms, it helps you spot potential issues much earlier. And, he adds, model good online behavior yourself.
Oh, that's huge. Lead by example. If we're glued to our phones 24/7 or getting into online arguments.
Kids pick up on that. It sends a message, definitely.
Okay, what about educators? What's his message for schools and teachers?
For educators, he's really advocating for more, much more, digital literacy education in schools, making it a core thing.
And making sure teachers feel comfortable actually tackling these tricky subjects proactively. Maybe using resources like Hellocyber could help there.
Absolutely. He wants teachers supported to do this. It's not just teaching typing skills anymore, is it?
No, far from it. It's about critical thinking online.
Exactly. Evaluating sources, spotting misinformation, navigating social media responsibly, and, like parents, educators need to stay informed about where kids are spending their time online.
So digital literacy isn't just an add-on class. It's fundamental, like reading or math.
He positions it exactly like that. A core skill for modern life, fostering critical thinking and online safety. It fits right in with Hellocyber's aim to make this knowledge mainstream.
It needs to be woven in everywhere, not just siloed off.
That's the idea. Reinforce it across the curriculum.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. What about the tech companies, the platforms themselves?
He emphasizes their significant responsibility to actively try and limit the spread of harmful ideologies on their platforms.
It's not just about free speech if it leads to real harm.
That's his point. There's a responsibility and ethical obligation, really, to mitigate harm and create safer spaces, especially for younger users.
It's a tricky balance, for sure, but a necessary one. And what about for young people themselves?
He encourages them, first off, to ask for help if they see something disturbing or if they're struggling with anything online. Don't keep it to yourself.
Yeah, reach out.
And also, to be mindful of their own actions online. Remember that what you post, what you say, it has real-world impact.
That line between online and offline is blurrier than ever. He also talks about building a better society overall, right?
Yes, fostering empathy, respect, inclusivity, both online and off. That's the bedrock needed to counter the negativity.
So it sounds like Cameron sees this whole Adolescent series, even with its tough content, as a kind of catalyst.
Yeah, like a mirror reflecting the unsettling truths of our digital age, I think he calls it. A wake-up call.
A difficult mirror, maybe, but one we needed to look into.
Right. He acknowledges it's difficult, but sees the conversation it started as essential. And he urges us to move past fear towards proactive education, towards cyber literacy.
Which brings us back squarely to Hellocyber. Remind us again for listeners maybe just tuning in, what's the core idea there?
So Hellocyber, founded by Cameron, its main mission is to gamify cyber education, make learning about online safety engaging, even fun.
Using game mechanics to teach serious skills.
Exactly. For individuals, for families. Empowering people like you, like your kids, with the knowledge and skills to handle the digital world confidently, directly addressing all these challenges we've been talking about.
So instead of a dry manual, it's interactive, hopefully more memorable.
That's the goal. Better engagement, better learning, ultimately a more cyber literate population ready for the online world.
Okay. And as he wraps up his article, Cameron poses some direct questions to us, the readers, the listeners.
He does. He asks point blank, are you having these crucial conversations with your children and within your families about online safety, about the issues raised by shows like Adolescent?
It's a real prompt for self-reflection, isn't it?
It is. And the second question builds on that. What other practical steps can we take? As parents, educators, the whole community, how do we tackle this together?
He wants to spark collective action, not just individual worry.
Definitely. He actually invites people to share ideas in the comments on his LinkedIn article, emphasizing that we can learn from each other.
So thinking about the big picture then, what's the main thing you think listeners should take away from Cameron's perspective and our chat today?
I think the main thing is that the digital world, it's powerful, huge potential for good, but also, as we've seen, real risks, especially for kids.
And it's on all of us.
It's our shared responsibility, parents, schools, tech companies, young people too, to make sure kids can navigate it safely. And things like Hellocyber are trying to provide the tools for that.
The goal being, as he puts it, a future where online spaces are about connection, understanding, belonging.
A hopeful vision, yeah, but one that needs work. Active work from everyone.
Right, not just hoping it happens.
Exactly. It's a call to be proactive, get informed, and stay engaged.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive for today, We've looked at why we need to face these online challenges head on, highlighted by things like the adolescence discussion.
We've stressed how vital cyber literacy is for everyone and looked at how new approaches, like Hellocyber's gamified education, can help families gain those crucial skills.
And maybe we end by echoing Cameron's final thought from the article.
Yeah, it's worth repeating. The digital world is a powerful force, capable of both amazing good and immense harm. It's up to us to ensure our children navigate it safely and responsibly. Let's work together to create a future where online spaces foster connection, understanding, and a sense of belonging for all.
Powerful words. Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Think specifically about that coded online language we discussed, the slang, the emojis. How might that be playing out, maybe subtly, with the young people in your life? What's one small practical step you could take, maybe even today, to start bridging that knowledge gap for yourself?
It's definitely worth exploring the resources out there on cyber safety, including platforms like Hello Cyber. It really is an ongoing learning process for all of us.